Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. I am the Gothic Rose, and as you know, here at the Dark Entertainment Network, this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Yes, dear fiends of the den, we are back with the haunted history of Hollywood, and this will continue through spooky season. And when we hit spooky season, stay tuned for horror films and history behind that, as well as true ghost stories of Hollywood. But now we're talking the ghosts of Prohibition and how the gangsters took over, and how this whole prohibition and alcohol outrage affected one star worse than the others. Yes, Hollywood was built on artistic freedom. Freedom from the Motion Pictures Patent Company and the control of Thomas Edison on the East Coast. But when they moved out to the West Coast in the 1920s, 1920 to be exact, is when Prohibition started, which had such a severe impact on the Hollywood industry and the way movies were made and presented. Some people were the wets, they were pro drinking. And then there were the dries who were pro prohibition. And movies reflected that. But I was speaking last week about The Great Gatsby and how Hollywood got its fill of alcohol from the gangsters who literally took over. And this ruined one man's career. Let's talk Buster Keaton. So, Buster Keaton was an American actor, comedian, and filmmaker, and he was best known for his silent films in the 1920s. And he also performed lots of daring physical comedy and inventive stunts. But he also maintained his signature deadpan expression, earning him the nickname the Great Stoneface. And he had so many acclaimed films, but mainly Sherlock Jr. of 1924. The General of 1926, and Steamboat Bill Jr. in 1928. He was also very good friends with Fatty Arbuckle and never stepped back from his friendship and support of Fatty Arbuckle over the years, even helping him find work after his trial as his pseudonym, which was, what was it now? William Goodrich. And in 1993's film Benny and June, Johnny Depp did his best Buster Keaton impersonation, which is where many of us Gen Xers kind of learned about Buster Keaton for the first time, because silent films was not part of our genre at all, unless we were studying film. So Buster Keaton was absolutely a comedic genius, but during Prohibition, he was a drinker at all of these parties. So he really faced so many significant personal challenges, alcoholism, and a lot of it also happened after he lost creative control at MGM Studios. So he was a free artist. He created his art the way he wanted to. What happened was he got picked up by MGM, and he referred to this contract as the biggest mistake of his career. This happened in 1928. So before this, he had complete creative control over his films, and he created the masterpieces, The General, Steamboat Bill Jr., but MGM's rigid studio system stripped him of his independence, and it forced him to work under strict supervision following pre-selected scripts. So Keaton later admitted that he had been warned against signing with MGM by fellow comedians Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd, who feared that the studio would stifle his creativity, which is exactly what they did. Now, unfortunately, their concerns did prove correct, and Keaton struggled under MGM's control, and his films suffered as a result. So his first film with MGM was The Cameraman in 1928. It still retained his signature style, but subsequent projects lacked his usual brilliance. Now, by 1933, his career had declined significantly, and his personal struggles, including alcoholism, became more pronounced. And by 1933, Prohibition was over. So he had been building up his drinking throughout this time. And by 1933, he was also fired by MGM as a leading man. So down the hole he goes even more, and this affected his marriages. So Buster Keaton had 3 marriages and 3 divorces. So his first marriage was to Natalie Talmadge, and she is from the famous Talmadge family. They were married from 1921 to 1932, and it ended in a bitter divorce, with Talmadge reportedly preventing Keaton from seeing their children, which completely crushed him. But she cited his alcoholism as the issue. And this was 1921 to 1932 is the exact years of Prohibition. So his second marriage to May Shriven was very short lived and troubled. And again, his struggles with alcoholism had everything to do with it. This marriage lasted from 1933 to 1936. There were no children. And then he was married to Eleanor Norris. And this was from 1940 to 1966. Now, his third marriage was said to be a very happy one because Eleanor played a key role in helping him recover from his personal difficulties. So it was technically 3 marriages and 2 divorces. So Eleanor Norris Keaton, Buster Keaton's third wife, this marriage was a turning point in Buster Keaton's life. They met in 1938 when Eleanor was a young dancer at MGM and joined Keaton's bridge games. Initially, she was just another player, but after standing up for herself during a game, Keaton took notice. So their romance blossomed, and they married on May 29th, 1940. And they had a 23-year age gap, but despite that, Eleanor played a crucial role in reviving Buster Keaton's career and his personal life, helping him overcome his struggles with alcoholism, and she supported him in his later years. The couple traveled together, performing in Paris, across Europe, and Eleanor appeared alongside him in the Buster Keaton Show in the 1950s. So after Keaton's death in 1966, Eleanor dedicated herself to preserving his legacy. She gave numerous interviews and attended film festivals and worked as a gag consultant for Hollywood filmmakers. And she also bred champion St. Bernard dogs in her later years. So Buster Keaton, going through all of this fame, all of this wealth, having his artistic vision taken from him, which led him to drink, was saved by his third love, lucky number 3. And it would have been a tragic tale were it not for Eleanor with Buster Keaton. So it's a really nice tale that could have gone very dark, although Buster Keaton did lose a lot of his creative control, his creative spark for a long time working with MGM. He did seem to get it back. And I could really see how something like that could make you dark and make you depressed and make you turn to drinking, because in the 20s, they didn't have anything else. So there you have it. And that was during the time of Prohibition. And, he probably wouldn't have been drinking like that were it not for Hollywood and MGM doing that to him. And, it's just a big vicious cycle, Hollywood. And now we know that the crux of it was built on gangsters, and their style and their legacy really has shown through in so many Hollywood movies since the 20s. Join me for more haunted Hollywood history throughout the summer. And if you have any tips to share, please email me at welcometothedenpodcast.com. If you'd like to be a guest, let me know. You just must be 21 and over. And my dear fiends of the den, if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you always for joining me here on the Dark Entertainment Network.